This decision is something that I've been struggling with a lot. It's been one of the toughest decisions to make in my entire life. I've decided to take a step back from Pentatonix.
A major record label looked at them and said, "We have no idea what to do with you." Then they walked away. That rejection should have ended everything before it even started. Instead, these 5 young people did something so desperate and so brilliant that it rewrote the rules of the entire music industry.
How did y'all come together?
Kirsty, Mitch, and I, we grew up together. We did like musical theater as kids. And then we found our bass and beatboxer through a mutual friend, and we found Kevin on YouTube. And then Matt we found through Ben Bram. Yeah.
Amazing.
But behind the billions of views and sold-out arenas, there is a story of silent breakdowns, painful goodbyes, and a sacrifice that still haunts their fans to this day. Born from the hallways. Long before Pentatonix became a global phenomenon, the story began in the most ordinary place imaginable. Martin High School in Arlington, Texas. This was not some elite performing arts academy. This was a regular public school in a suburb of Dallas, where Friday night football mattered more than music, and where being different could make your life absolutely miserable. Scott Hoying, Mitch Grassi, and Kirsten Maldonado first crossed paths as children through community theater in Arlington. Hoying and Grassi met around age 10 in a local production of Annie. They performed together again in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Maldonado had been singing at Theater Arlington since she was 8, after her mother enrolled her in voice lessons. By the time all 3 reached Martin High School, they were inseparable. Their friendship was more than musical chemistry. It was emotional survival. Mitch Grassi was bullied relentlessly for his high-pitched voice. He told CBS News that growing up in Texas was especially hard because the culture was very traditional. Both Grassi and Hoying were hiding the fact that they were gay throughout high school. They actually briefly dated before either had come out publicly. Each of them felt like an outsider. But when they sang together in empty hallways, the world seemed to soften. Scott Hoying had been performing publicly since age 8, singing the national anthem at Texas Rangers and Dallas Cowboys games. Kirsten Maldonado was a 4-time Texas All-State Choir selection and a National Hispanic Scholar. Their first brush with recognition came when a local radio station held a contest where the prize was meeting the cast of Glee. Scott convinced Mitch and Kirsten to record an a cappella cover of Lady Gaga's Telephone. They lost, but they posted the video on YouTube, and something shifted inside all 3 of them. After graduation, Hoying enrolled at the University of Southern California and joined the legendary SoCal Vocals, the only collegiate a cappella group to win 5 ICCA championships. It was through this group that he met a vocal arranger named Ben Bram, who told him about auditions for Season 3 of NBC's The Sing-Off. Hoying felt something deep and intuitive. He knew this was the moment. He reached out to Mitch and Kirsten immediately, but there was a massive problem. The Sing-Off required groups of at least 5 members. They only had 3. They needed 2 more voices in a matter of days. What Scott Hoying did next involved a desperate YouTube search at 2 in the morning, a beatboxing cellist from Yale, and a bass singer from a tiny California farming town. The way these 5 strangers came together should not have worked, but it did. 5 voices, 1 shot. Scott Hoying needed a bass singer and a beatboxer, and he needed them immediately. Through Ben Bram's connections in the a cappella world, he found Avi Kaplan, a 20-year-old from Visalia, California, a small farming town near Sequoia National Park. Kaplan came from a Jewish family of Ukrainian and Russian heritage. He had been bullied as a child for having what he called a very Jewish name, but his voice was extraordinary. At Mount San Antonio College, his group, From Outta Nowhere, became the first community college group ever to win the ICCA championship. Kaplan personally won the Best Rhythm Section Award, which was so significant that the award was literally renamed in his honor because no bass singer had ever won it before. Finding a beatboxer seemed impossible until Hoying sat down at his laptop late one night and typed the word beatboxers into YouTube. The first result was a video of Kevin Olusola, a Yale pre-med student born to a Nigerian father and a Grenadian mother in Owensboro, Kentucky. Olusola had started piano at 4, cello at 6, and saxophone at 10. He spoke fluent Mandarin and had soloed at Carnegie Hall twice, but the video showed him doing something nobody had ever seen. He was playing the cello and beatboxing at the same time. He had invented cello boxing completely by accident in his Yale dormitory when he heard the bathroom acoustics and started making rhythmic sounds. The video hit number 6 on Reddit, and Yo-Yo Ma himself called his work inventive and unexpected. Here is the detail that still amazes us about this story. All 5 members of Pentatonix met each other in person for the very first time the day before their sing-off audition. They had one single day of rehearsal before performing on national television. Mitch Grassi skipped his high school graduation to be there. Hoying dropped out of USC. Maldonado left the University of Oklahoma on a full scholarship. They were betting everything on a group that had existed for less than 24 hours. Their run on the Sing-Off Season 3 was extraordinary. They performed 16 songs, and their mashup of Kelly Clarkson and CeeLo Green was described as the moment that won them the show. Judge Sarah Bareilles called them daredevils through tears. On November 28, 2011, Pentatonix won the $200,000 grand prize and a recording contract with Epic Records. 5 strangers who had met the day before their audition had just beaten 16 established groups on national television. And then, within approximately 3 weeks, Epic Records dropped them. The label said they had no idea how to market an a cappella group. When the group refused format changes, the label let them go. The biggest moment of their lives was followed immediately by what felt like the biggest betrayal. They had no label, no money, and no plan. Most groups would have fallen apart right there. But Pentatonix did something that nobody in the music industry expected. They picked up an iPad, walked into a bedroom closet, and started a revolution that would eventually reach 6 billion people. The YouTube uprising. With no label support, Pentatonix turned to the one platform that required no permission: YouTube. From their tiny shared apartment in Los Angeles, they began recording covers with nothing but determination and a camera. Their first video was a Maroon 5 cover recorded on Mitch Grassi's iPad. The production quality was rough, but the talent was undeniable. Their cover of Gautier's "Somebody That I Used to Know" exploded to over 63 million views. Their evolution of music video condensed 36 songs into a single performance and hit 118 million views. But the true game changer was the Daft Punk medley uploaded on November 4th, 2013. 5 voices recreating an electronic catalog filmed in their kitchen, wearing neon blue contact lenses. It hit 10 million views in its first week and eventually surpassed 340 million total views. What fans never realized was how grueling the work actually was. All 5 lived together are recording vocals in bedroom closets. A single song required over 73 individual vocal tracks, including 24 beatbox tracks and 12 body percussion layers. They survived on YouTube, ad revenue, and small venue gigs. Ben Bram, the man most fans have never heard of, was the invisible engine behind everything, serving as arranger, producer, engineer, and tour manager. When the Daft Punk medley won the Grammy for Best Arrangement, Hoying delivered a speech that captured everything. He said they recorded it in a bedroom closet, filmed it in the kitchen, and now they were winning a Grammy. He said it proves that anything is possible. Signing with RCA Records in the 2014 finally gave them the support they deserved. Their album, That's Christmas to Me, went double platinum and became the 4th best-selling album of 2014. Their self-titled album hit #1 on the Billboard 200. Their collaboration with Dolly Parton on Jolene earned them a 3rd Grammy. Their cover of Hallelujah became their most viewed video ever at approximately 764 million views. They were 3 for 3 in Grammy nominations. They were selling out arenas around the world. From the outside, Pentatonix looked absolutely invincible. But behind the sold-out arenas and the perfect harmonies, one member had been silently drowning for years. The foundation of Pentatonix was about to crack wide open, and nobody in the audience had any idea what was coming. The pillar cracks. While Pentatonix was conquering charts and filling arenas around the world, Avi Kaplan was quietly losing himself. The folk music-loving introvert from a small town near Sequoia National Park had spent 6 years trapped in a relentless cycle of touring, recording, and content creation that fundamentally contradicted everything about who he was. He later said simply that he lost himself and lost touch with the things he loved most, which were his family and nature. His musical heroes were Simon and Garfunkel, Bon Iver, and Iron and Wine. These were worlds apart from the pop covers and Christmas albums that drove the group's commercial success. He told Magnet magazine that Pentatonix was a really big departure for him because folk music was the kind of music he had always made. The constant touring meant separation from his family when they needed each other most. His anxiety and depression deepened with every passing year. He would later tell NPR that his first thought processes are always worst-case scenarios, and that his song, "First Place I Go," was about that constant battle with his own mind. On May 12, 2017, the farewell video appeared. Kaplan sat flanked by his 4 emotional bandmates and called it one of the hardest decisions he had ever made. He said the 6 years surpassed anything he ever dreamed of, but the pace had always been a struggle. He said not being with his family and not being able to escape into nature had become unbearable. Hoying later revealed that Avi gave the group plenty of notice and stayed longer than he wanted to help them transition. His final performance came on September 3, 2017, at the Champlain Valley Fair in Vermont. During the song, Sing the group replaced their usual slideshow with one dedicated entirely to Avi. Photos and memories played as the audience went silent. After his solo line, confetti cannons erupted, and the group pulled together in a tearful embrace with the words, "We love you." Avi displayed on the screen behind them. His tweet that night carried a heartbreaking hope. He wrote that maybe someday all 5 of them would sing together again, but until then, he was standing by. Always. Pentatonix had just lost the voice that fans called their soul. The group now faced the most dangerous moment in their history. They needed to find someone brave enough to step into the shoes of a ghost. And the person they eventually chose had a secret connection to the group that nobody saw coming. Stepping into a ghost's shoes. Replacing Avi Kaplan felt impossible. The Pentatonix fan base was fiercely loyal, and many viewed his bass voice as the irreplaceable soul of the group. 9 people auditioned. Into this pressure walked Matthew Levon Saleh, a 23-year-old from La Plata, Maryland, who had grown up singing in his father's church choir since age 4. He had graduated from Berklee College of Music, won the ICCA championship with his group Pitch Slapped, and performed on America's Got Talent. But here is the detail that made his story feel written by fate. Years before anyone knew his name, Matt Saleh had attended an a cappella competition and watched Pentatonix perform from the front row as a fan. A photograph of that exact moment later surfaced online, showing a young fan staring up at the group he would one day join. Saleh was introduced on October 13, 2017, initially as a temporary member for the holiday season. But on the final night of the 2017 holiday tour at the Bosch Center in Boston, the group announced he was permanent. Kevin Olusola captured their feelings perfectly when he said that Matt is such a joyous human who brings life and energy that is so beautiful to their family. He was not replacing Avi. He was becoming himself within the group, and slowly that distinction made all the difference. Meanwhile, Avi Kaplan spent roughly a year on what he described as a pilgrimage, traveling to Holland, Germany, and Israel. He settled in a cabin 45 minutes outside Nashville and began making the folk music his soul had always craved. His debut album, Floating on a Dream, produced by Shooter Jennings, was described as Ennio Morricone meets Bill Withers. He followed it with the Feel All Right and Move Our Souls EPs. Pentatonix was finally finding its rhythm with Matt Sallee when a global pandemic shut the entire world down overnight. For a group that had spent a decade in constant motion, the sudden silence forced every single one of them to confront the personal battles they had been running from for years. The silence that broke them open. When the world stopped in 2020, every member of Pentatonix was forced to sit alone with themselves for the first time in nearly a decade. Tours were canceled, studios went dark. The relentless machine that had defined their lives ground to a halt. And in that silence, each of them faced their own private storm. Scott Hoying told the Associated Press that he had always been scared to be vulnerable, and the pandemic forced him to confront feelings he had been running from. But something beautiful also emerged. His relationship with Mark Monio, whom he met at a friend's birthday party in 2017, deepened during lockdown. They married on July 7, 2023, at the Ritz-Carlton Baccarat in Santa Barbara. Hoying surprised his husband with a Blackpink dance medley at the reception. His solo EP Parallel was deeply personal, with the title track inspired by a night lying on the kitchen floor with Mark talking until 4 in the morning. In October 2025, he announced they were expecting their first child through surrogacy. Mitch Grassi channeled his isolation into Messer, a dark-wave electronic solo project that was the complete opposite of Pentatonix's bright harmonies. His debut EP, Roses, and later his album Cuts, explored a darker artistic identity he said he had been hiding for years. His noticeable physical transformation sparked unverified health rumors online, but Grassi attributed the changes to an intentional diet and exercise regimen. He found love with Wilhelm Will, a German native he met during a European tour in May 2023, and they now share a home in Berlin. Kirsten Maldonado fulfilled her Broadway dream starring as Lauren in Kinky Boots. Her engagement to Jeremy Michael Lewis ended in late 2017, and she later married cinematographer Ben Hausdorff in April 2024. She became a mother twice, with daughter Eliana born in June 2022 and son Theo in March 2025. Kevin Olusola anchored himself in faith and family. He married Lee Weissman in September 2019 in a 2-day multicultural ceremony, and they have 2 children. His solo album, Dawn of a Misfit, released in May 2025, fused classical, hip-hop, and pop while exploring his Nigerian and Grenadian heritage. The pandemic had broken each of them down individually. But when they came back together, something unexpected happened. The harmony between them was no longer the sound of 5 performers. It was the sound of 5 survivors. And what they built from those ashes shocked everyone. The harmony that refused to die. The Pentatonix that emerged from the pandemic is a fundamentally different group than the 5 strangers who met in an NBC studio parking lot in 2011. 3 of the 5 current members are now parents. Their daughters have been spotted on tour with Kirsten's daughter, Eliana, reportedly knocking on dressing room doors saying it is time to go to the stage. They switched labels in early 2025, signing with Republic Records under Universal Music Group after years with RCA and Sony. Their 8th Christmas album, Christmas in the City, released in October 2025, marked a historic departure. For the first time, they incorporated musical instruments alongside their a cappella vocals. The album featured a posthumous duet with Frank Sinatra on "I've Got My Love to Keep Me Warm" that reached #1 on Billboard's Adult Contemporary chart. Their Netflix film, Meet Me Next Christmas, debuted at #1. Their 2024 Christmas tour sold out Madison Square Garden for the first time, grossing over $891,000 in a single night. The numbers are staggering. Over 20 million YouTube subscribers, 6.8 billion total views, 3 Grammy Awards, more than 10 million albums sold, 11 top 10 entries on the Billboard 200. And on February 21, 2023, they received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, making them the first a cappella group in history to receive that honor. But what matters more than any of those numbers is what this story really means. It is about a quiet man from a small town who loved nature more than fame and had the courage to walk away from millions to protect his mental health. It is about a young fan standing in the front row of a competition who grew up to join the very group he was watching. It is about 2 gay teenagers hiding who they were in a Texas high school who became proud, openly gay men performing at Madison Square Garden. It is about a Nigerian-American kid from Kentucky who invented a new musical genre by accident in a dormitory bathroom. What do you think is the most surprising part of the Pentatonix story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.